Foreplay brought to you by Barstool Sports and presented by Owen's Mixers, our presenting sponsor. Yes, this crew of four. We got the whole band back together today, by the way. Gentlemen, hello. How are we?
Hello.
Hello, hello.
Doing fantastic.
Fantastic. Really?
It's another early. Well, I'll speak for myself personally. Again, I don't know. I'm sure people hate when we talk about this, but it's another earlier podcast that we're doing, and I'm just still trying to get myself rolling downhill. That's all.
I'm feeling fantastic. I woke up with a 98% Whoop recovery, 100 HRV. We traveled all weekend in the 1,000-degree heat in Detroit. We were fucking exhausted from Thursday to Sunday. Last night I slept 30 hours, and I woke up with just everything green. So I'm feeling great. I could run a decathlon right now.
Good.
You were just saying your ulnar nerve, though, Frank. I mean, that's why fantastic threw me off.
That's something I've been dealing with for years, and I'm going to the doctor today right after the show is airing, so if we cut off a little bit earlier, if I have to leave, I have a doctor's appointment. It's funny that, doctor's appointments have to happen during the workday, and then you realize, that's their workday. You're just like, why is this, why was the only option, 11 o'clock on a Monday? And they're like, well, that's our schedule. You know what I mean? Why can't I go at Saturday at 11 o'clock at night? That works better for me. So I got to get that figured out. I can't keep sleeping with a brace on my elbow. It's starting to get uncomfortable. So got that.
You sleep with a brace on your elbow?
Yeah, I sleep with a brace. Dude, because it stops you from bending your arm and putting it under your pillow, and then you wake up and my arm would legitimately, I'd have to get it going like a car. I'd literally start shooting it towards the sky. Let's go. Let's get this thing. Let's wake this thing up. And now I wake up and it's fine. So the brace works.
So what is the doctor going to do? What do you like?
Well, I went a couple weeks ago and they said that we're trying to avoid surgery at all costs. So I'm trying, there's ways of maybe moving the nerve or manipulating the nerve. There's all these stretches and moves to kind of have it go down the elbow and not be so irritated. But today we're doing MRIs, nerve tests and stuff like that. So we're just going to get answers today. Today, I also so my girlfriend does MRIs, and if this guy gives me a script to go get him, I'm going to ask her to give me an MRI on my brain too. I think I'm just going to do it all. And if I don't come back to the show, it's because I'm going straight to the hospital.
Wow. I wonder when that's going to turn up. Anyways, Owen's Mixers. Go, Tuesday, you get any mixer that you would like. It is a Tuesday, but it's summertime. It's nice out. Maybe you're going to have a drink tonight while you watch TV, or maybe you're going to have a drink during lunch because you're trying to chill out. You're trying to just relax. Maybe you're trying to get away from the work day. Maybe you're a doctor. Well, I probably shouldn't be doing it if you're a doctor. Definitely shouldn't be doing it if you're a doctor.
After you see Frankie, maybe.
You might need one. And if you're going to have a cocktail, you should pour Owen's Mixers into it because it's going to make it delicious. You get it on Amazon, next day delivery. You can go to owensmixers.com. You can just find out where they have it and go acquire it. From the Barstool Transfusion mix to the mint cucumber and lime to the grapefruit and lime, tonic, they got all kinds of good stuff. So Owen's Mixers, big thanks to them for supporting us for a long time. Travel show. So
real quick, speaking of that, do you think there's any doctors that do take a sip of whiskey before they perform a major surgery? A lot of there's a lot of people in the world in their job where they sometimes need that to maybe calm the nerves, or some guys perform better when they drink, right? Is there one guy out there that's sneaks one in a flask where he's just I just got to get this done?
I think you would be afraid by how high that number is.
Yes.
Oh, really?
Agreed.
Dude, think about doctors at weddings, right? And then they get called in to do surgery. Sometimes they'll get calls in, these surgeons. I mean, I watch a lot of Grey's Anatomy, so they'll be out, they'll be fucking, they'll be drinking, and then all of a sudden they get a call. There was a helicopter crash. They got to go save people's fucking eyeballs out of their head. So it's you can't not live life. You have to drink at some point.
And as far as I understand it, I could be super wrong, but it's a very stressful job, and I'm sure there's people who just self-medicate with whatever it may be, whiskey, vodka. I hope it doesn't happen on a regular basis, but I think the number's higher than I feel Lurch thinks.
We're going to get some scary DMs
Oh, yeah,
tonight.
because so Frankie, are you saying, though, you made it sound like in an emergency situation, an officer's getting caught because he's out, or sorry, not an officer, a doctor's getting caught because they're drinking and they're getting called in. But the question was proposed of no, before a big surgery, I just take a shot of whiskey to get me loose, to get me comfortable. Now, I think that is wrong. Like,
I think somebody does it. The numbers. Somebody does it. Somebody has to do it.
Right.
So
I don't think anymore. I think
the question was proposed as one.
Right. My original question, I still want the answer to that, but the only reason I brought up the emergency situation is that it's not out of the question for a doctor or a surgeon to be performing his job under the influence, right? Like, there has to be a situation in which they had some sort of alcoholic beverage in their system while they performed a major brain surgery.
There are 10 to 15 million doctors in the world, according to Google.
Somebody drinks before it.
And here's what I do know to get out in front of it. People who are involved in this profession are going to reach out to us and say, no way, that's the craziest thing you could ever do. That's a dangerous path to go down. But also the people who are doing it are not going to reach out to us and say, yeah, dude, I do that because I try to relax before a big surgery. So I can already feel the surgeons coming out of the woodwork to tell us that we're super wrong. But I know, and I know Riggs feels this way too, there is a percentage of people that might do this.
Definitely. I mean, look, and there's definitely like doctors that are just alcoholics. That's just the percentage.
Yeah,
10 to
right.
15
That's a
million
good
people.
point.
So
Right.
you're just
That's
an
a good
alcoholic.
point.
Like, that's just what it is. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, maybe you should get some help, or maybe you just live with it. Maybe you're just a functional alcoholic. Nobody's perfect. We all have our issues. There are, out of those 10 to 15 million doctors in the world, there are alcoholics who just drink, and that's what they do. And I would bet we get more than we think. People that reach out that are like, hey, you know, even when I was in like residency or when I had to first go in that first time, I knew I wasn't going to be shit-faced, but like I was nervous. I ripped a shot of Jack or whatever, and I went in and it just calmed the nerves, just like on the golf course. Calmed the nerves. My hands were steady, and I crushed that surgery. People have definitely done that.
It is my promise that those people who reach out to us will remain anonymous. If you reach out, you will remain anonymous. That is a promise. It's, you know, it's like when a baby's crying, they give them a little thimble of whiskey. Calms them right down. That's what they used to do with kids when they were crying too much and they had a toothache.
Yeah.
Would you do that? Would you do that to shut your kid up if it's fucking crying in your face?
Yes, 100%.
Yes. Anything to shut those fucking kids up. I want to give whiskey to kids that are on a plane that aren't my kids. Just like shut that kid
Ooh,
up.
totally. They get through like the noise canceling headphones. They're so loud. I mean, anything that works for a kid.
We had a noisy little boy on our flight back from Detroit the other night, and it was just tough, you know? Screaming at the top of his lungs, eyes bulging out of his head.
Did you try to do the Dan Soder thing?
Yeah, so Dan Soder, one of our favorite comedians on the planet, who I think is in the running for the funniest person on the planet right now in just regular conversation. You listen to him on a podcast, KFC Radio or something, he's constantly making you laugh. He doesn't need a bit. He doesn't need a stand-up routine. He's just one of those guys that will make you belly laugh for the whole day. He has a stand-up show on HBO, The Son of Gary, from a couple years ago, and he tells this one bit about if you listen to Screaming Baby crying on a plane, if you just think of them as like the lead singer in an emo punk rock band, it's actually hilarious. You'll just think like you're sitting there and you just hear "Wah!" You're just like, oh yeah, that kid's like front stage at like Battery Park, like some fucking concert venue, and he's just ripping up like the song. So that made me laugh. And there's another one where he goes, you know, you usually feel bad for the parents, you feel bad for the kid. The kid doesn't know what's going on. He's crying. The parents don't know what's going on. They just don't care anymore. Like, you feel bad for the parents. And then so the whole flight you're fine. Then all of a sudden you realize that the kid was like 6 years old and can speak, and you're like, all right. So now he's like doing this whole thing where he's waiting outside the terminal. He's like, 14B. It's like, you're a noisy little boy, and he's like trying to get up in the kid's face. It's one of the funniest bits of all time. I'm not doing it justice. Go watch Dan Soder. He's one of the best people of all time.
So how did you get through it, Frankie? Did you handle it okay? Were you rattled? Were you thinking in your head, I'm gonna go punch that fucking little 6-year-old in the face?
You just kind of like, at some point you just drain it out, which is what the parents do, I assume, right? At some point it just doesn't matter. Like, that kid's gonna scream regardless, and it's just part of the noise now.
Right. Sometimes it gets so bad and it's so consistent that it becomes white noise, which is like, it like breaks through to a level where your brain decides that it is now part of the sound of everything that's going on. Like, when I sleep, I use a white noise machine, and at a certain point that just becomes the sound that's happening. Sometimes a kid can cry so loud and for so long that it just becomes the noise, which is unbelievable.
I had a bit of a panic that I had permanently ruined my hearing in my left ear, because on a plane flying from DC to Boston on Friday night. You know, I sleep on airplanes all the time. It's just a superpower. I just pass out before, like, right when the flight takes off.
Such a sick skill.
It's great. I'm very blessed with that. And I put on the flight only. Usually I use my AirPods most days, but on flights only, I rock the noise canceling earbuds because I just don't. It's loud on a plane. You don't want to be able to hear shit. Well, I fell asleep with like on my head on my left arm that was like sitting on the armrest, you know, and my hand just pressed into my left ear. And you don't think about or notice anything. You're just fucking asleep. You're an asleep person. And so when I arrive, I wake up and I just couldn't get my left ear to pop. It felt like muffled, and like my left ear is just full of like pressure, and I just couldn't like hear out of my left ear. Well, this went on for over 24 hours. So I'm like, now I'm start panicking. I start Googling stuff. I thought like, I get to one point, it was like a side effect of like the vaccine. And I was like, oh, no, I lost like, and then I got to the point where I was like, dude, I think because I slept and I pressed my left earbud into my ear that I like permanently damaged my left ear. Everything just sounded like I was like underwater is what it sounded like I was listening to. And then I got a late lunch or like a dinner Friday night, and I came out and I just like swallowed and tried the nostril pinch again. Boom, cleared it right up, and I've been fine ever since.
Wonder what that is, like the clogging, right? Like what is actually happening in there?
It was like
pressure.
Fluid. Somebody was saying fluid gets like locked up because of pressure, and then because of that, like if you swallow or you yawn, it's like an automatic mechanism that relieves that fluid, and that's what like the nostril pinching move does and all the yawning does. But I tweeted about it, and I had people that were like, hey, just yawn. And I was like, what do you mean just yawn?
Oh.
Like, who walks around and just yawns whenever you want to? It's like, what are you, crazy? That'd be like, just sneeze. Oh, yeah? Achoo. Like, I can't just sneeze. What do you mean?
Right.
As bad as that feeling is when it's happening to you, when you get that release and when your ear pops, that is, you know how there's people out there who like to watch pimple popping videos? Have you run into these freaks? They
Right here.
love, yeah, you're a freak, Lurch. They love,
here.
to the point where people have now created Instagram accounts of doctors, like dermatologists, popping pimples, and they have like hundreds of thousands of followers. It's a weird thing that people like, but then on the other side of it, when my ear pops, I feel like that's the feeling that they get watching those videos. It's a weird release.
Yeah, I think you're pretty close to it. I will say though, to Riggs's point, releasing that pressure, yawning or just getting rid of and hearing again is truly incredible when it happens. It is such a weird feeling, and nobody in this room knows why it happens because Trent, your answer of pressure is perfect. That's about as detailed as this group can go with it.
Pressure.
But once you can hear again, it is
Under pressure.
I mean, it's exceptional.
It's pressure. It's pressure.
It was a big moment. But I must look like a crazy person all day. I was walking around yawning. I was walking around like, oh, like that all day, you know?
God, when you finally get it though, it makes me want to moan. You know what I mean? It's just like,
Right.
God.
And you also want to tell the people around you that you've like been dealing with it, and they probably already had their pop go through, so they're like whatever. But it feels like an accomplishment. And like in Riggs's case, you now think that you can hear again. Like for a while there, it seemed like you weren't going to be able to hear, and that's a horrifying proposition.
It was like irreversible neurological ear damage, like what I was convinced of after a day of Googling shit. It sucked. It was a very dark, scary place. But what's not dark and scary, what's actually beautiful, smooth, tastes great, is New Amsterdam Vodka, which is the official vodka of Barstool Sports, which is the company that we work for and that we love very much. New Amsterdam Vodka. Make sure you head to your local store, pick up the new summer co-branded New Amsterdam Vodka bottle, which we have featured and showed on this show many times. Very cool. The same extra smooth 80 proof vodka now has the custom Barstool labels made from some of the finest quality grains from America's heartland. New Amsterdam Vodka is 5 times distilled for unparalleled smoothness and then filtered 3 times for a very clean, crisp finish. This is what we put into our cocktails. This is the vodka that we drink. This is the official vodka of Barstool Sports. We love New Amsterdam Vodka. It's great stuff.
Yep, best of the best. Smooth, tasty, gets the job done. The Barstool branding on the bottle is phenomenal. Go get yours and tweet it at us. Show us that you have it. Let's all just bring New Amsterdam to the moon, even though they're already on there.
New Amsterdam Vodka, official vodka, Barstool Sports. Go check it out. Go get the summer co-branded label. Very cool. Very, it's just very good vodka. It's just what you're going to want to drink. All right, Travel Show comes out Thursday night. We've got, I think, 4 episodes the next 4 Thursdays, 8 p.m. Eastern, YouTube, Foreplay Golf. You will get an episode of Michigan. We went to Michigan, played 4 rounds of golf. We played Forest Dunes for the first 3. We did the Loop, Tom Doak, which we spoke about a good amount on the show like a month ago whenever we recorded that. But the Loop, it's literally a reversible golf course. It's black and red. One day you play it, and then the next day you just turn around and play it the other direction. Same greens, except different tee boxes, and you play it in the reverse order, and it's very, very cool, very unique. Almost nothing like it, especially in the United States of America. I know over in Scotland, some of the original, I think like the old course of St. Andrews was originally playable in like reverse order. So it's kind of an homage, a little bit of a throwback to that. But over here in the United States of America, extremely rare, nothing like it. I've never seen anything like it. And that episode 1 from Forest Dunes, us traveling. If you remember, I was going through some bodily issues at the time. So, the episode is very interesting. Yeah, very interesting episode. So check that out.
This tough one to take at 9 a.m.
Thursday night, I think this will kick off a great first episode of a great travel series. I think what this one brings to the table is some of the best golf I think you'll see as a group, like good numbers, guys hitting greens, long putts, like actually competitive golf. Like at one point during the second round, I was like, man, this has been crazy good golf recently. Like we're playing the game. Like guys are winning with like 3 2s and 4 3s, like nothing over par was winning a hole, which when sometimes you get a group like this, like sometimes a bogey can sneak one in. So it was really, really good golf. I'm excited to watch that.
It was.
I would say it was the best matches. Yeah, for sure.
I like that loop idea. I feel like it has got to catch on the East Coast. I know we've talked about this a little bit, but I continually think about that for East Coast courses that only have 18 holes. You just got to think, hey, let's flip this thing around. And now we've got 36 here and we can change it up for our membership. Like, it's just such a genius idea to have more golf on one piece of property.
You got to get them going at the same time. Throw helmets on each other, and that's a new sport.
That's a way new sport. Hey, hit quick, boys. We're on the fairway. Let's keep it moving here.
Plus, you'll be hitting onto a green that people are putting on already, which is just chaos.
Oh.
Right.
I'll tell you what, it will help pace of play. Nobody's standing over that putt for longer than they have to.
It'd be so funny.
You really be relying on your buddies. Your buddies would have to be watching the incoming golf balls and warn you if one's going to strike you.
It'd be so fun.
Yeah, be tough. Okay, so Forest Dunes, I would say as a group, this is probably the most fun we've had on a travel show, on a series, just the whole thing. We met really cool people. The folks at Forest Dunes were awesome. We came pretty tight with them, spent 3 nights straight hanging with them, playing golf with them, playing the par 3, the bootlegger with them. And then, the last night of the whole series, we ended up on a beach on Lake Michigan, watching the sunset, playing a new game that we learned, a new beach game. So the whole thing was just a blast. We had a fantastic time, and we documented the whole thing. Drone footage, golf shots. We played pretty good golf as a crew. Thursday, 8 p.m.
And then tonight, as you're listening to this, a video will come out with myself, Anders Lee, Brock Nelson, a good guy, plays hard, loves the game, American hero from Warroad, Minnesota. He's actually in Warroad right now visiting the motherland. That place is straight out of a cartoon movie. I mean, like 1,000 people on the population list, one huge hockey rink, Warroad Estates golf course that Brock grew up. When he was on the show, he told us that him and 2 other guys were the greenskeepers and the people that actually the supers. They were there and they just learned how to cut grass and roll greens. So that guy's playing. Then we got Vinny Lettieri, one of the funniest people on the planet, who's become one of my favorite people to interact with on a daily basis. The Snapchats he'll send me are just laugh out loud funny. He's just constantly always on, and every guy you talk to, Vinny Lettieri is the guy to have in a locker room. Anaheim Ducks. And then we have Brady Shea. Congratulations to Brady Shea. Just got married, I think yesterday or 2 days ago. One of the best guys you'll ever meet. Good-looking, handsome fella. I mean, my goodness. And what a love story that is with him and his wife. They grew up across the street from each other. They were born in houses across the street from each other. We're always in each other's lives. So, I mean, however old he is, that's how old their relationship goes. So, it's pretty phenomenal story there. And He's a stick. So wait until you see. Tonight we have a whole video at the Barstool Classic from Minnesota. It's going to be a great video. Whenever you get that many hockey guys in one, it's going to be amazing.
I will be tuning in to see those legs. I want to see those legs in action. Anders Lee, I saw the Instagram picture. I'm sure everybody saw the Instagram picture. I want to see those things in action. That's really what I'm tuning in for.
Quadzimoto. It's just there's something about him that he's got a quad growing on his quad. It almost looks unhealthy and uncomfortable.
Yeah, it does. They look fake. His legs look fake.
Has he ever mentioned to you like rubbage does he get a lot of friction down south?
Well, if you look at the picture, it's like on the outside, so it's more like his legs were spilling into Vinny Lettieri's pockets. So I don't know that it's really on the inside. It's all in like the comfortable places, I guess. It's like on the side.
Shorts must be impossible though. He has to get custom fit shorts. I
cut them off.
All those are custom.
He wears them once and cuts them off. To get them off.
The jaws of life. The only guy in the world who wears cut off shorts on the sides.
Yeah, no,
on the side.
He'll be playing.
Slits.
He plays, maybe he gets the wrong size shorts. They have to call the fire department to come bring the jaws of life to like release the legs.
I would say pound for pound, I think Minnesota has the worst weather in the country.
Whoa!
Wow.
We were there in the summer, and it was miserable. It was so humid and hot, and then all their winters for like 8 months, they have like bitter cold, brutal winters. So like, when is it nice there?
But it's got to be nice because it's the land of like 1,000 lakes, right, or whatever, 1,000,000 lakes, or however many lakes.
The summer's supposed to be exceptional.
The summers are supposed to.
The
be
summer was the worst stop at the Barstool Classic weather-wise.
I think that we were there for a ridiculously humid, outrageously hot week. I agree. It was unlivable. Like walking out of the house was like this. It was felt 10 times worse than New York.
Totally.
But they have to have their fair share of weather because it is such a beautiful place.
Minnesota is not that far from Iowa, so our weather can't be that dissimilar. Although I will say, I think their winters are like 10 times worse than our winters for whatever reason. Like you go a little bit north and it's way worse. But like the summers in Iowa, they're not great. Like there's maybe 3 weeks where it's okay. But otherwise, it's super humid, it's super sticky, it's super gross. Like, yeah, like the Midwest summers aren't ideal, certainly.
What's the best time? Kind of fall?
Fall.
Okay.
Spring or fall. Probably fall. Like, when football weather rolls around and it's hoodie weather and there's a nice chill in the air, but it's not freezing, that's easily the best time of year around there.
I'm just saying, I know their winters are horrible. They're just bitterly cold. Like the ponds freeze over. They go ice fishing. Like it's awful. And then we were there in the summer, and you would think like places with horrible winters have great summers. It was awful. Everyone was just sweating profusely. The whole staff had to like take showers in the clubhouse. It was miserable. So I'm just maybe caught it at a bad time. Caught it during a heat wave. Frankie wore pants like a crazy person. You had to be sweating your cock off.
That day was tough. That day was really, really, really tough for me because I had to wear pants. The day before, I wore shorts. Went out there, checked out the course with Vinny Lettieri, wore shorts because it was unimaginable to wear anything where you weren't getting air into your lower extremities. And that next day was even hotter. And it was something. I think Vinny Lettieri on the video was like, you could cook rice in between those cheeks or something like that. Said something fun. It was something. They couldn't believe what was happening inside my pants. So
trying to think of a state that would have worse weather than that. Like Minnesota is unique in that it has the mix of really, really hot and really, really, really cold. Like all the southern states, it just gets way too hot. Like Arizona, Riggs, it gets 115, but you don't get freezing with like 2 feet of snow on the ground.
Right. You're guaranteed for 7-8 months of the year to have phenomenal weather. You're like guaranteed. And I would say in Boston's a great example of a place that has pretty bad winters, but the summers are excellent. That's on the water, on the ocean. You got the harbors. Like it's all the little kind of like coastal towns. They're beautiful. Everybody loves them. They're great. Minnesota was just the 2 times I've been there for Barstool Classic in the winter. It's been unbelievably hot and humid. So I'm just wondering, when is Minnesota a good place to be weather-wise? I just don't know. I'm not shitting on it. Maybe it's bad luck. Maybe it was overly warm when we were there. Maybe they're going through a heat wave. my experience, if I could only go off Riggs Barstool's experience, is the weather there fucking sucks. That's my experience.
Seattle's got to be bad, like pound for pound with all the rain, and then it gets freezing cold, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't it rain like 300 days a year there?
Yeah.
Yeah, Seattle's mostly rain.
Which
Right, that
rain. So like, I could deal with cold, I could deal with hot. Rain ruins everything. Like you can't events get canceled. You don't want to go out to like dinner. You can't sit anywhere outside to eat. Like rain just ruins everything. I can deal with heat. I can deal with cold. I can deal with snow. Things like don't even get canceled in the snow. Rain just ruins everything.
And I think we take for granted actual sunlight. Like, they don't get a ton of sunlight, and I think that just drags you down. Like, when it's 300 days of cloudy weather, you're probably like, this just sucks. This totally sucks.
Speaking of cities and places, I was flying in from Detroit yesterday, and I passed the great city of New York City. Going into LaGuardia, what a view that is coming in from that side of the country, right across Long Island into LaGuardia. And like
looks like you're gonna land in the water too, coming into LaGuardia.
Oh, at one point I'm like, we're gonna need to see some runway here, folks. Like I'm looking out the window, and I'm like on top of like housing and buildings in Queens, and I'm like, at some point I'm gonna need to see those little flares because we're real close to the ground. I've seen no evidence that we have a runway coming up because I was in the back of the plane, and just in the nick of time we saw some pavement. So, yeah. So it really hit me, and I'm a New Yorker through and through, my whole life been here. Never really realized that we just don't utilize the rivers. We don't utilize how amazing the water around New York City is. Like we don't have anything going on there. Like everything's so in the middle. Like you look at all the buildings, you see like you see Empire State Building and the Freedom Tower, and everything's just like inland. Like Chicago and all these other cities, like even Detroit has like the river going through it, like that stops it from Canada, like the Detroit River. Like New York just doesn't utilize the water. It would be.
What are you talking about right now?
Yeah.
They don't.
We
don't like
the busiest harbor in the world. Like
for
New
like
York City Harbor might be the busiest city in the
Well, maybe like there's boats going on and stuff, but we don't have.
What is
like,
happening right now?
We don't have like a river walk thing.
No,
like,
here, let me.
Like Chicago, like utilizes like their little fucking water through the city. Like we don't have. Like we don't go to like the water when we're in New York City. Everything's like inland.
Let me agree with you for a second. So I live right by the UN building, and which is the East River is right there. I have lived here for 3 to 4 years now, and I still can't figure out how to get down to the river. Like if I want to walk and just like stroll and like enjoy the water, I understand like the UN is there, so it's going to be impossible to get it near the river there. But even if you walk up and down, like you got to walk pretty far north or pretty far south to have any access to the river. And then when you get down there, they don't really like accentuate any part of the river. It's just the disgusting East River. So I agree with you on that. I would love to leisurely stroll down the side of the river on a Sunday morning. I would love to.
Nice. It'd be nice.
Well, the west side is covered with just the most beautiful path up and down the west side. And the east side is like one of the more beautiful FDR highways that you could have. So there is some viewing of the water.
You're talking cars.
Nobody's swimming in there, Frankie, because it's. I mean, the
I know.
water
My point
is
is like
bad.
we don't utilize. Like I don't know. You see Chicago, they got like that beach right there, and like the city skyline. They have their water, and then they also have just like they have volleyball and softball fields on the water over there. It's just we don't like. I don't know. Flying over it, I was like, wow, it would be so like. It would be number one by a landslide if we utilize it better.
Well, Chicago's a little different because Chicago's got the river that goes right through the middle of it. Like if there was you're right. If there was a river that went right through Manhattan, I think New York would go crazy for it.
Yeah, but okay, I get it now. I get it. I think to Frankie's point, what he's saying is like, why didn't we design it so that all those rivers that are going around, like they could cut right through it? Instead, they're like on the side of it, and we kind of ignore it. Which now I'm picking up what you're putting down. Where I agree with you. Like very rarely, in 4 years I lived in New York. Thank God I don't anymore. The place is fucking disgusting. But for 4 years I lived in New York. So
you wouldn't say that if the river went through it.
Correct. Because Chicago, like everyone posts that picture of them walking like river north through Chicago, and it looks like a fantasy land. You're like, how did this river just cuts through this perfect city? But the point is that the city was actually built around that to a degree to like accentuate that. And the beach thing's a great call. Like I feel like people that live in like LA and stuff, they always post people who are on like the beach and they're playing volleyball, and what you just described in Chicago, which like they utilize that beach. They have like the playpen, I think they call it, which is where all the boats hang out. In New York, like if you're on the water, you like did something wrong. It's like you need to get back to safety in the middle part of it. So yeah, we should redesign Manhattan, New York.
I think we might be discounting Central Park a little bit. That's a pretty big feature of Manhattan.
Inland, though. It's
no, I know.
That's what I mean. Everything's
for
inside
sure.
the city.
It is,
and
but like
there's that area by the Statue of Liberty where like they've built that up, but that's very recent too, which is a nice area. But still, concrete and boats. Like it's like you have to have a shit ton of money to enjoy that area.
It's a fair point. It is a fair point. Frankie, how was Detroit? How was Hockey Fest?
Oh yeah, Spittin' Chicklets and Barstool Sports. We put up a nice little Hockey Fest in Detroit. It was a phenomenal event. Shout out to Live Event Lisa, Jen Simons, the Spittin' Chicklets guys. They just figure out, like Justin and all they just know how to freaking put on events, and they're grinding their ass off to make sure that all these people, 1,000 people showing up, and all these games and the scheduling. It's really, really a phenomenal event. It is huge. Like we took up a major space inside a major city, all these parking lots and everyone playing roller hockey and street hockey. But yeah, I thought it went great. We had some NHL players that played in the street hockey tournament. It was Zach Werenski and Oleski who played. I think he won a cup. Was it with the Penguins or the Capitals? I think it was the Penguins.
Let's talk about your goal.
Yeah, well, my one goal or the goal in the 3 goals in Game 3 that had
so many goals. It's hard to pick just one.
Had a hat trick in Game 3.
I'll let you choose which of the goals that you scored you would like to discuss.
We had a Barstool team and we played roller hockey, and it was a small little rink. And there's a video out there of me scoring a buzzer beater, game winning breakaway goal. Sniped it over the goalie's shoulder. No
Pure sniper, just a natural goal scorer.
Natural goal scorer. Find the back of the net. Whitney said it best. He goes, he's not everything he does on the rink is not pretty, but he finds the back of the net, and there's no pictures on the stat sheet.
Brett Hall. That's how like Brett Hall was. He chop it up out there around. He's you don't know is even in the game. Bam, one attempt, top titty, goal, go time. That's you.
People on Twitter being real mean. I mean, we've talked about these little areas of Twitter. Drum Twitter is one of the worst places on the world. Golf Twitter is unbeaten as the worst. Ugh. But hockey Twitter's right there where it's like, this kid's a bender. Are you in slow motion? What kind of game is that? Like, I just put the puck in the net. Listen, we were playing on this like crazy undulated concrete, and there were these ridges where the concrete met. So all game long, we're looking down to make sure our wheels don't end up in that one ridge, because it's broken ankle or it's death at that point when everyone's like skating around in this little area. So if you watch me, I'm very cautiously going over this one bump in the middle, and everyone's like, look at Frank, he's going in slow motion. It's like, shut the fuck up. I put the puck in the fucking net. But it was fun, man. I loved it. And Whitney and Biz were so into it. They were our coaches, and Biz at one point was the goalie, and like it was just a lot of fun to finally take what I've been saying about roller hockey and how I can get the puck in the net and then go there and like, dude, we were scoring like crazy. It was like Rudy was unbelievable because he played at Denver, and Granelli. We had a good line. Like it was a lot of fun.
Dude, you looked great. Honestly, I saw the video and I was like, oh my God, he's like much better than you skate pretty well. Like it's not like, it's
not pretty.
It's not like but it's effective, and you've got a little bit of stride, and you've got a little bit of like, the hockey face coming back to the bench and whatnot. And also that video is incredible. I mean, like you kind of steal the puck, what looks to be kind of at the red line or the halfway mark, and then you just go in and just roof it shelf on this kid.
Dude, you were so proud of yourself after. Like when you were skating around looking for everyone to praise you, I was laughing out loud at how happy you were. Like, I did it, everyone. I scored the goal.
Dude, there was 3 seconds left when I had the puck. I mean, it was tie game, 3 seconds left. So they're screaming, shoot, and it's just game over.
You talked on the show about how you're a goal scorer, and then you went out on the biggest stage with the bright lights on and you scored goals. That's just
Game 3 hat trick. I tossed my helmet on. I threw my own hat onto my own rink.
Now, were you guys playing with a real puck? Because it looked like street hockey, like Milek pads, and then a real puck. So were goalies kind of terrified of getting hit
No,
by this
only
thing?
our team had those pads. RA had those pads. Everyone else was fucking. We had Scott Darling there on
man.
our team, ex NHL goalie,
Yeah.
Chicago Blackhawks. He was like, these goalies
big
should be in like
ticket
the
with the
NHL. He's like, these fucking guys should be in the NHL. They were wearing like his pads. He said the other team were wearing his branded pads. So that everyone else had real stuff on. RA had the old school like fucking Jason mask on.
Yep.
Right.
It
Yeah,
was
that's like,
scary.
did RA have some bruises on the yeah, dude, that would kill.
Dude, and Biz played and didn't wear a cup.
Oh my God.
So it was scary. That's
And
the
it
other
was,
thing I want to get
it was
ahead
a
of.
real hockey puck.
It was called the Green Biscuit. It's like it's this thing that's made for like not the perfect ground or
Okay,
surface.
it's got little like
It's
circles
got two pucks that are attached, so they actually can like move and like maneuver around bumps. It's actually a really cool invention. It's like two little pucks on attached. Look it up, the Green Biscuit. It's anyone that plays roller hockey. Anyone that plays roller hockey should buy the Green Biscuit because it rolls and it stays flat on any surface. It's really cool.
Oh,
I
wow.
remember this thing when I played roller hockey. That's exactly the puck that I think
It's
we
really
used way
good.
back. Yeah.
with the little circles. Yeah, I remember that one.
Yep.
Yeah, those are sweet. Oh, you can get them branded. Look at this. You get like a St. Louis Blues one.
So, but yeah, it was a lot of fun, man. And yeah, the Green Biscuit we were flinging that thing around. But the ball hockey was electric, dude. Zach Werenski and Oleski were playing on this team, and that gets so intense because it's a smaller rink and guys are on their feet, and like you really can't get away from anyone. Like you're like defense is right on, and they're slashing, and it got to the championship where a roller hockey country like USA champions were facing Zach Werenski, who just last week signed like a 7-year, $9.5 million deal. The guy's worth like $75 million. And the roller hockey team was calling him like a duster and like calling him like they were like, oh, like look at this bender out, like saying like ridiculous stuff to him because they beat him in game 1. They were so cocky, the roller hockey team, because they won a national championship. And I guess Zach's like now entering their world. Dude, they were unbelievable. They ended up going into overtime, and like they this one guy just like pounded a one-timer right past Zach Werenski. He tried to block the shot, and it went top shelf, and they won against them. It was like, imagine being able to say like you just like blasted a hockey, like even though it was a ball, like you blasted one by Zach Werenski, who's like gets paid to stop pucks in the NHL. So cool, such a cool feeling. Really cool event. Can't wait to expand it. They want to take him around the country, so. Great job by those people. And the last thing I'll say about that is a lot of people were talking about what I wore. I wore a helmet with a cage on it. I want to address that right now, that I do not care about what I looked like out there. I did not want to take a puck to the face. Sorry, I know that makes me not cool, makes me a bender, makes me a duster, all these mean things you're saying to me. I took one off the cage at one point. Like, dude, the goalie went to go clear the puck down this little rink and it went off fucking Rudy's stick and went right off like the edge of my cage and off my wrist. Like that just would have broke my teeth in half. Like I'm out there to have fun and not go to the hospital after. So like I just didn't want to take a stick to the face or puck. What do you guys think about wearing the full cage?
Totally acceptable and the right move.
It's tough. That's tough for me. I will say in New York, I'll never forget, you have to wear a cage in New York, like men's league hockey and the leagues that we played in. I remember showing up and I thought they were like I was on the email list for the team, a little group email list, a lot of chirping going on, hockey guys, hockey culture, fun times. I thought somebody was chirping me and they were like, yeah, like Riggs, when you show up next week, make sure you have your cage on. And I was like, they wouldn't let me on I couldn't play the game because I didn't have a cage. So I had to go into like another team's locker room that was getting ready and be like, can I borrow like your helmet with a cage on it? So for me, I think it is always a tough look. I get it. We're practical people. If you played in like the NHL, would you wear a cage?
No, but I also am not in the NHL, and I also had I have a wedding coming up that I'm in the wedding party, and like if I took a fucking like puck to the nose or the face, like I have this wedding coming up in 3 days, like I'm not trying to get a stick to the mouth from some fucking idiot that's falling on rollerblades and he like lifts my stick. Dude, it was getting chippy out there. We were like slashing each other and shit. Like I just didn't want to, like, if in any other situation, if I didn't have that coming up and I didn't care if I took a puck to the face and like had all bruises or a bloody nose or a black eye, like I probably would have done like a visor or something to try and look like funny or whatever. But I didn't want to get hurt this week. Like that was just a risk I wasn't willing to take. And I hope
What was
I wish
the breakdown? What was the breakdown on guy like who was rocking Cage, who was rocking Shield, who was rocking nothing?
It was just me and Rudy, because Rudy's like, I'm not taking a puck to the teeth. I just got my teeth fixed. Like, I'm not risking that. So he wore a full bubble with a Denver fucking logo on it. So that guy's the best player in the whole tournament, and he was wearing a fucking cage. He was wearing a bubble. Then I had the cage on, and then everyone else either went like no helmet to look awesome. Like Feidelberg just had his blonde hair all over the place, and then Marina even wore just like nothing. Like she wore just like the old school helmet and like sunglasses. So it was tough when the people that you were playing with, like Marina's out there just like stick lifting people with like no cage on, and I'm out there fucking skating my dick off with a fucking cage on. But I stand by it. I would do it the same way again.
I think you made the right decision, but I will say you showing up to this podcast this morning with a huge black eye would have been awesome.
It
Or the wedding. If you had like a scar on the wedding, like that'd be great. Who cares?
I just couldn't. It's like the family thing, and I'm like, everyone's like, you're even going to that thing. It's like I don't know. There's like pressure on me to like make sure I like don't look like an idiot at this wedding. So like I don't know if you guys have ever this is an important wedding for me to not look like an idiot. I'm not allowed to drink at it. It's like my girlfriend it's her sister's wedding. It's like crazy. I got all these rules, and I could not show up. The eyes are on me to make sure I'm behaving at this thing, so I couldn't show up with fucking stitches across my face.
You know what's?
Do you have a history of not behaving at these weddings?
No, but if I start drinking,
like
I get
just
a little
you
wild.
that's not allowed to drink.
I get
Is it
wild.
only you?
I mean, it's a wedding. I want to have fun with my friends. They like won't
100%. But I just
They won't.
if
They like,
it's
won't.
your girlfriend's family, feels like there's something behind.
No,
the
everyone's
curtains
just
of, like,
excited for it. It's like the first one, like in the group, and everyone's just like, let's just make sure it goes up without a hitch, and like Frankie doesn't show up with fucking a cut across his face and ruins all the pictures. Is their point?
Okay.
You know what's amazing about weddings? Is
They made fun of my
best...
fat neck too. They're like, you got to tighten it up. They gave me a roller.
Okay,
They
that's
give you like
roll-
a diet.
I have to
Jesus,
roll
these
my
people
face.
are
I have to roll my
these
face.
people are ruthless.
They hate
God,
me. They hate me. So yeah.
They're worried that you're going to ruin the entire wedding.
Well, they were like, when you get a tight neck around the collar, it's just the fat's just gonna sit on the top, and if you don't look up, you're gonna look fat.
They said that to you. They spoke all these words to you about
It's
your neck?
crazy.
Wow.
The best man aspect and speech aspect of a wedding is psychotic because the family, the bride, they put all this work in, right? And they plan everything down to the flowers, down to the appetizers, down to everything. They spend years preparing this thing. And then at the most important part of the wedding, they just throw it to you.
Crazy.
The best man for like
Could be
you just-
ossified drunk. Like could be like on his fucking ass, slurring his words, ruin the whole night.
It's psychotic. It's like a crazy part of society that we accept this. That again, all this planning goes in. You do nothing. You don't even probably start till the morning of. Like, yeah, I'll say something. Fuck yeah.
You wanna know
Like,
who-
It's just on you to dominate the wedding.
You want to know who's giving the best man speech at this wedding? My fucking friend Rob, the kid whose teeth falls into
Yes.
his dude.
Yes.
He drinks. He goes out the other night. He
Dude.
sent out a text message of this bar in like Lower East Side, and we're like, oh, like date night, Rob. He goes, no, just self-exploration day. He hit like 5 different bars, drank 5 beers at each one, like went to like he was just like drinking like crazy. His teeth are falling out of his head, and he is giving the best man speech. And I can't wait to see where that kid takes it. Because what a year he's had. It's just so
Wow.
fun.
Dude, listen. All right, I don't ask for much, but if you could please video this, not for public consumption, we will not put the video out. I just want video of that best man speech because I don't know where it's going to go either, but I just want to see what happens with his best man speech.
The man hasn't smiled at work ever in the last 3 years. And
Not
he's
allowed
about
to smile at
Not
work.
allowed. He's about to go up there and try and bring the house down with jokes. And it could be his coming out. It could be his like breaking out party where it's like Rob's back. Like this is Rob's moment.
Rob needs this moment. He needs this.
Right,
so
I
badly.
want it to go really well for Rob. I want things to take a 180 turn in his life and things start to go up.
Yeah.
After
all right.
this speech.
I love it. We'll see.
That's so funny.
Now that the world is opening back up, there are many new thrills on the horizon. Whether you've been in a relationship for years, maybe you're just getting started, maybe you're excited to get back out there, meet new people. When that moment comes, we're talking about sex, people. You would like to be ready. You go to GetRoman.com/Barstool now, and get involved in the U.S. licensed healthcare professional. That's kind of their situation. It's what they dominate: this sexual health, sexual wellness, With Roman, you can get a free online evaluation and ongoing care for erectile dysfunction. So maybe you're fighting a little bit of an issue. Maybe you're embarrassed about it. Who knows? You obviously would like to correct it. Roman Ready equals confidence, being confident that you know you can rise to the occasion. Little pun there. Kind of about your dick rising up and being ready to go when you're in this moment of passion,
which is important.
Excitement. You got to have it, otherwise the whole thing kind of falls apart,
fizzles,
if you will. Yeah, that's right. Go to GetRoman.com/Barstool today. If you're prescribed, you get 50% off your first month of ED treatment. Make sure you're ready to have confidence and control this summer. Make sure you are Roman ready. You go to GetRoman.com/Barstool today, and if you're prescribed, you will get 50% off your first month of ED treatment. That is GetRoman.com/Barstool. Make sure you are Roman ready. Okay, I got a quick question. Anybody been following this Leo Messi stuff?
Trying to.
A little bit.
Pretty confusing. He was trying to take like money off. He gave them like a 50%. So someone was trying to explain to me like there's like is it almost like a cap issue with Barcelona where like even if he would have taken no money, they still would have been over it?
Yeah, like so I was talking. It was Za, my guy Za, who's the best. Za's so good at the Barstool Classic. He's just the man, and he's obviously a huge Arsenal guy, huge soccer guy from Zimbabwe.
I think he could be the most liked person at the office. We were talking about that with Feidelberg.
He's the best.
I think it's globally known across the globe because he's from Zimbabwe that he is the nicest person on the planet.
Boom. The best. And so I was like, Za, because I like soccer. I think soccer's cool. I'm not in a place to be able to follow it all the time. Every Saturday morning when people were following soccer, Premier League, I'm playing golf, so it's hard to just follow it. Lurch and I tried to force ourselves into being Everton fans one year. Worst, most boring soccer team to watch on planet Earth, so we were out on that. But I like World Cup. I think the World Cup's the coolest thing going. I thought the Euro Cup was awesome. We talked about the Euro final a little bit, Italy, England, all that. So I like to get into the soccer thing. Leo Messi highlights. If you ever watch Leo Messi highlights, the guy's a wizard. He might be the most impressive person at his sport. And I know we've talked about a few different athletes that do this, like in the world, the shit that this guy does. And he's like 5'6", and he just it looks like he's playing a video game. This guy's unreal. But the way Za was explaining it to me was Barcelona is so in debt that they have to get like league approvals because you can only reach like a certain amount of debt, and then it clearly becomes detrimental to the entire league and a problem if you raise X amount of debt, because then in order to like counter those debts, you bring in other parties and it gets super messy for the league. So they've gotten like approvals to pay all this money, hundreds of millions of dollars to Messi. Then his contract came up, right, which everybody kind of saw over the last few weeks. It's been talked about on Twitter. His contract was up. He wanted to re-sign with Barcelona, where he's been since 2004. He's literally been there since he's like 13 years old, which I don't understand, but he's been there since he's like 13. His contract was up. He wanted to re-sign with Barcelona. He agreed to a contract to re-sign with Barcelona that they put up, and then the league rejected the contract because they won't allow Barcelona to again have to find like leverage to pay this contract that they agreed to, even though Messi was taking a hometown discount or like a Barcelona discount, even though they agreed to terms, his agents and all that, they agreed this was a done deal. The league, La Liga, the Spanish league, shut down the contract. So when he was like crying in his press conference and everything yesterday about leaving, it's because he wants to stay at Barcelona. They literally like the league won't allow the contract. So he like literally can't play at Barcelona, even though he wants to. It's crazy.
I saw a tweet that even if he took $0, they still would be in that same position where they owe the league, or the league won't let them sign more players for more money. So bad spot that Barcelona's put themselves in. I also don't know the history behind that. So I'm sure there's a lot of diehard soccer fans that are listening to us, like knowing all the information. But I think that was a pretty good recap, because that's exactly what like Rudy was trying to explain to me yesterday on the plane. So it's really interesting shit. There's a lot of money that gets tossed around out there in those leagues. It's nuts. I mean, I saw rumors that he was like going to sign for like, I don't know what he ended up signing for in Paris, but is it like $600 million? That was like the initial number. It was almost $1 billion to play soccer.
I saw, that's the number I saw, like $600-something million, which it feels like a Dr. Evil quote when you throw that kind of money around. But he, so then Za was explaining to me, because I said, what's the deal with this PSG, with the Paris team? Because like, do they play against anybody, or is it just Champions League? And he's like, no, I guess like all these rich like oil money, basically like bought PSG, and then they just pay outrageous amounts of money to the best players in the world. It's like Neymar's there, and they just dominate the French league, and then they just basically exist to entertain like these guys with all this money, and then dominate the Champions League. So Messi's just going to go there now. I think he's making his big announcement today, and like from the Eiffel Tower or something. It's going to be crazy.
That was a very funny tweet by PSG that it said, breaking news, like, we will PSG will unveil Messi at the Eiffel Tower. Like, unveil him as if, like, I'm picturing him like coming out the top of the Eiffel Tower or something.
Yeah,
now,
I think that's the plan.
Did they not? Is Barca now in such dire shape because did they not get a transfer fee? Like in soccer, it's all about buying and selling the players. If he was just a free agent, did they just lose out on that transfer fee too? I haven't paid attention to any of it.
I don't know. I don't think they can. Like, I think that in order to do, from what Za made it sound like too, now that Messi is gone from Barcelona, that like that league is just gonna collapse. Like nobody, like no one's gonna care about it. It's like over. Barcelona went from like the most storied club in the world for the last 2 decades to they're just gonna be irrelevant. That's what Za made it sound like to me, because they lose Messi and they've also other guys. So who knows? Like like Frankie said, we don't know enough about it. We're not overly experienced, but just following it along and how different it is from the NHL or from PGA Tour, in terms of like contracts and how you make money, it was fascinating because this guy is, by all measures, like perhaps the greatest player to ever play the game of soccer in the most popular sport in the world, and he's gonna go to Paris basically on like a super team, it sounds like, and they're gonna unveil him like he's jumping out of a fucking birthday cake at the Eiffel Tower.
Is there is Pique Messi better at his sport than Pique Tiger Woods?
I don't know.
There could be an argument for that, but I just have no idea. But I will say, to Riggs' point, he's like one of my favorite athletes. He is so beautiful to watch. Like when he moves around a soccer field, or a pitch or whatever, it's incredible. Because I don't even soccer. Like people debate like him and Ronaldo. So I have no idea. Like there's no debate. I guess there's debate in soccer too.
The only thing I would say is like the difference between Messi and the next best player, like of his generation. I don't know if that was as big as like the difference between Tiger and the next, but yeah, like Messi took a program and just made them like the best in the world for 15 years or however long, 20 years or however long it's been. And in a game where there's, however, what are there, 9 people on like the pitch or 10 people, 11 people on the pitch? I think it's 11 if you include the goalie at a time. So there's 22 people out there. There's only so much impact you can have. Like we talk about that in hockey all the time too. Like you're only on the ice like a third of the time if you're Sidney Crosby. There's only so much of an impact you can have when there's so many people out there. Yet he just would steal games and score like 3 goals and just dribble through people like it was their fucking cones and dominate the game. And the highlights, man, like that's the other thing is it wasn't like he just picked up garbage goals. Like those goals that he scored when you watch these highlight tapes, it's like the other guys are children and they're the best players in the world. He dribbles through their legs and spins around and like fakes them and they're falling over all over the place. They look like the other guys he plays against in soccer. They look like the police in movies when the bad guys could just like kill the police and embarrass them really easily. That's right, that move. That's what they look like. He just embarrasses everyone. So yeah, and he's tiny. Like he's fucking. They just call him like the little guy. I hear the announcer all the time, like, "Oh, the little guy did it again." It's unbelievable.
I think that works to his advantage. He's just like he's got his little legs are going really fast and he's just ripping around people. I think if he was 6'5", he wouldn't be as good.
Guy's awesome. Crazy, he's absolutely awesome. So
you said Sidney Crosby before, and we were sitting with Merles, who is in the Spit and Chicklets crew. He played in the NHL, and then went over to Sweden, and he lives in Sweden. His wife's in Sweden and stuff, and he's coming back and forth. And anyone on Twitter has seen Merles. He gives out these bets. He's maybe the best like gambler of all time, and no one's like that many people have picked up on this. The guy is outrageous at his picks, and he played with Sid. He was actually Sid's first roommate ever. And the way that he talks about that guy and how good of a leader he is, it was like giving us all the chills at the table. We were almost like in tears. He like couldn't put it into words, which is how you knew how crazy it is. Like he was basically explaining it like what you just said with Messi, where like there's other professionals that are the best in the world, and Sid would come in as like a 19-year-old kid or whatever he was, and somehow just had something different. He was like equating it to like the MJ documentary, where like even during practice he'd look at you, and like you'd have this sense of like, oh fuck, like what did I just do wrong? He's like I'm like older than this, like what like I don't know why I'm listening to this kid, but I am. And he just like gained all of this like amazing respect from all these pros. And like he also said like Sid just knows how to be a leader. It was almost like he was born with it. Like he knows like when to go out with the boys to the bar. He's not just a nerd that like the guy's like, oh, he works really hard and he like makes you feel like an asshole for practice. Like he practices more than you do. Like he'll go out and grab drinks for someone's birthday. Like so like the next day, if he makes you work really hard, you're like, oh yeah, like Sid was out with us last night. He's like one of us, and he's working that hard. And like the only reason Sid would go out is because of like that leadership mentality of like, I need the boys to see me once every couple of weeks. Like I can grab a beer. It's amazing how much he's thought it out. So it was just such a cool like experience to hear the inner workings of like a Sidney Crosby brain. Cause they're all like that. The Messis, the Wayne Gretzky's, the Michael Jordans. It's nuts. They're just born with something different.
Just, like I was looking at, I was clearly deep in the Messi rabbit hole, if you can't tell. And like the Barcelona like physio guy, I saw like the Instagram that he posted and somebody had like translated it. And the physio guy was basically like, Messi is the most important thing that ever happened in my life. Like from a professional level, from a personal level, like this guy is the biggest hero in the history of the world. Like he drove me to be better professionally. He inspired me personally. Like him being part of my life changed my life for the better forever. And just every word that he was saying about Messi was the same way, frankly. You're like, holy shit. Like not only is this guy blessed with talent, not only is he got like charisma, but he is just born to lead and like inspire people around him. And it's just, there's only so many people like that. No wonder the guy should be getting $2 billion. Like he only gets 700 million. Like listen to the shit that people are saying about this guy. And like I saw a video and I had to tweet about it, and all of a sudden I'm getting quote tweeted by like people that are speaking Spanish and stuff. I don't even know who's quote tweeting my tweet, but they're like, this Riggs guy found Messi. Hell yeah, like, that's our guy. So yeah, he just, people that are on that level, and I have heard that about Sid too. Like the Chicklets YouTube video where they interviewed Sid for like an hour is one of my favorite watches on YouTube. Like once a month I'll just go watch that. So good. And the way he talks, yeah, like he's boys with the guys, but like also clearly their leader, which is that's a very hard balance to find.
Yeah, because you hear sometimes like guys will resent the player that is at Sid's level if he's like a dick about it, or like tattletaling to the coach, or making guys feel like it's less superior and stuff like that. So yeah, no, it was really, really cool. And like even like the guy Oleski that was sitting there was like, yeah, Sid will still reach out to me. I played like a couple seasons with him. He'll still be like, how you doing? How's it going? Like, how you doing out there in Anaheim? Stuff like that. It was crazy. It's just like how they think about how every moment is going to impact them as a leader. It's all like, it's not even like awesome. It's not even like it's equated in his brain. It's natural.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. What a legend. All right, we got golf. We're going to talk about the sport called golf that we play and that we enjoy. Cool guy, Abe Ancer. We had him on the show a few months ago. He's got the tequila. He ripped it up at the President's Cup, even though Frankie said he should quit golf. He lost to Tiger Woods. He did lose to Tiger Woods, but he's been on the up and up. He's just got that kind of he seems fearless out there. Like it seems like he should have won many PGA Tour events because he seems to not only not flinch under pressure, but like welcome it. The way that his whole demeanor, his perfectly groomed beard, he just seems like he would be winning golf tournaments. Got his first PGA Tour win yesterday, birdied the playoff hole, and then both Hideki and Sam Burns violent lip out for Burns. But congrats to Abe Ancer, awesome dude. His caddy, who's actually can't get over right now, because of visa issues. He's like stuck in Canada. He can only caddy for him when he's playing like international tournaments. But he's the fucking man, Daryl. He's awesome. So they got like a cool vibe going, the whole thing. Abe Ancer, first win, wins millions of dollars because of the WGC. Congratulations to our friend Abe Ancer, who also, we have a running thing going where every time we see him, his go-to comment, right? He's like, "Oh, I know these guys. I'm supposed to say something to them." What he says is like, "Oh yeah, like did you guys get those hats?" And we're like, "No, like we don't have the Azul hats yet. We actually didn't get those." He goes, "Oh, I'll tell my guy, make sure you get them." And we're like, "Awesome." And then he never does. And then next time we see him, he does the same thing. So he owes us hats, but love Abe Ancer.
I hope it's like, is it Conan that kept saying like, sorry? Oh no, is it Conan that says we can't get to Matt
Jimmy Kimmel.
Jimmy Kimmel, like we can't get to you, Matt Damon. Like every single show, he's gonna bring out Matt Damon, but he doesn't come out. Like I just hope every single tournament for the rest of our lives that Abe Ancer and we are all at the same thing, that he continuously offers us those tequila hats, and we just never get our hands on them. I never want one ever, but I want to keep asking him for one.
Right. I actually do want the hats, but I also really don't want the hat because I agree. I like the thing that's going on where we just don't. It's partially on us too because we don't give him an address. We don't give him anything. We just say that logo's sweet, which is true. The logo is really cool. And then he's like, "Oh yeah, I'll send you guys some hats," and we're like, "Great, can't wait to get them." And then next time we see him, it's the same thing all over again. So I hope. Yeah. I want the hats, but I also do not want the hats whatsoever.
I don't know that we're ever going to get him, and that makes sense. Harris English and Bryson DeChambeau collapsed on the back nine. I saw there was one screenshot where, like, after the front nine, I think Harris English was at 20 under, Bryson was at 18 under, and the next closest were at 15 under. And then there was a three-way playoff, and neither one of them was in the playoff, like not even close. So they just both melted down. I saw Harris English afterwards, credit to him, did an interview when Bryson did not. Bryson declined to talk to media, but shocking, which we'll get to. But he, being Harris English, we've always struggled to say it, Harris English. Harry, Harris English, was talking about how they were put on the clock. And he ended up having a couple quotes about he said, we were warring on the front nine, kind of got behind, felt like we were running pretty much the whole round, and that really caught up. So you're having to run between the green and the tee, and it's hard for me to slow down. So they got put on the clock. Clearly that rattled both of them. They both melted down to the back nine, which you just don't see very often, especially when guys are playing really well. Harris English was like unflappable the whole tournament, and then melted down to the back nine. So that's a little bit of a shame.
He also... I just had a bubble in my throat. I felt like I was going to pass out there for a second. Yeah, I'm good. Okay. He also had interesting comments about the experience of playing with Bryson DeChambeau, where people calling him Brooksy all the time, how it's like relentless, which we've known. We knew that people were going to do that as soon as Bryson responded. But like, I think Harris English, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, is the first person in the game of golf who has been like, this Brooksy thing is getting a little ridiculous. Like, it clearly rattles Bryson. Bryson wants to pretend that it doesn't bother him when it clearly bothers him. Then they're on the clock, so they've got to do all this rushing. People are yelling Brooksy. I just thought it was an interesting look into what it's like to play with Bryson as a person who isn't Bryson. Because I think the only perspective we've really gotten is from Bryson, and it's either he's going to the security being like, throw out anybody who says Brooksy, or he's trying to pretend that it doesn't bother him and act like, no, I'm cool, I'm Bryson, the Brooksy thing doesn't bother me. So I thought it was really interesting to hear from a guy like Harris who's like, yeah, it's pretty crazy out there. And I know like people aren't going to have any sort of sympathy for Bryson, but I thought it was an interesting perspective from someone who's not Bryson DeChambeau.
Did you see when the lady was like, Brooksy, and he was just like, good one? Bryson was just like, good one. I love that response. Because, like, it's an old lady trying to get in the mix with, like, the thing that's in. She's probably like, aha, Brooksy, that'll be funny. I'll scream Brooksy at him. And he just looks at her, he just goes, good one. That is the type of response that you need to start getting from a Bryson, where he's just like, you're such a loser. Like, oh, like, you're a part of this, like, Brooksy thing? Nice.
Yeah.
It's just tricky, too, because they're traveling across the country. So it's going to be a new group of people at everyone that all want to get in the mix. So it's like a full year before it can really turn over, where like every golf fan gets their jab. So yeah, I mean, it's going to be difficult. It's going to live there. It's going to be one of those things. I mean, Rory said comments about playing with Tiger, how it's like a 2-stroke disadvantage, because of all the people there. And it's probably somewhat similar for Harris and others that play, because there's so much chirping that Bryson does get because of that interaction.
Yeah, you could check the tape. Like when that video came out, I think it was at the PGA Championship during practice round, where he was like, don't call me Brooksy. You can check the tape. Like any person that understands the internet and people and human interaction knows, like, oh, that's a death wish. You now, for the rest of your career, basically, will be yell Brooksy, and it will drive you crazy. And now here we are to the point where it is such a fever pitch that, like, in his post-round interview after collapsing, Harris English is like, I got to talk to you guys about this Brooksy stuff. Like, it takes over the whole day. So it is clearly affecting Bryson. It is, I guess, a little bit of a bummer if you're trying to look at everything from a fair standpoint. It's not like Bryson's out there, like, murdering people, and that, right. That's why we just like there's, well,
he's got to yell Fore.
You could kind of classify that as murder, perhaps, because we had Richard Bland, who's the guy that was almost won the United States Open Championship, who was just watching the coverage, I think, and just tweeted out, like, Bryson plowing it into the crowd again off the tee and no shout of Fore. Maybe it needs someone to get seriously injured for him to learn. So Mr. Bland just took a shot at Bryson as well for the non-Fore comment thing. So, yeah, Bryson's just in the news again for, reasons that are not great. Clearly the Brooksy thing is affecting him because it's affecting people that are playing with him. And I don't know that it really will ever subside. Like, I don't know unless he starts to handle it like Frankie said, where he's like, good one, dude. Like, you're really funny. Great job. And just roast people, which that gives me real quick, Trent. I got roasted by the Dunkin' Donuts lady this morning. So we were on our way to the Barstool Classic, and probably the funniest car ride I've ever been in. We have John Feidelberg, Casey Smith, myself, and Zach, who does our social. Probably the funniest 15-minute, like, sober car ride I've ever been a part of, just with the chirping and the stories and the ridiculousness that was going on with that crew. I fucking love those people. They're hilarious. But, man, we get 3 coffees at Dunkin' Donuts, and I get a large hazelnut iced coffee with just milk. Casey Smith gets a large regular iced coffee with just milk, so they look identical. Well, lady hands me one coffee, and I just said instinctually, I was like, is this the hazelnut or the regular? And she goes, why don't you check the label? You think I made it? And I was like, and the whole car was like in tears. And I just said out loud, I was like, I just got roasted by like the Dunkin' Donuts lady. And then she's like, here's your next coffee. And then we just fucking drove off. And everyone's like, she just roasted you. It was unbelievable. I was like, I just asked like which coffee it was. And she literally was like, what, you think I made it? Like, check the label. It's like, all right. Like,
roasted at the coffee shop. You could have just said it's
the fucking regular one, maybe.
You know what I'm saying? Roasted at the coffee shop. You got it.
Not all that dissimilar to Frankie getting roasted by the guy at the gate at the airport. Just being like, is the number? I don't remember the story, but it's similar to that. Where those people don't want to deal with you with rigs.
I remember
those people don't want to deal with rigs and Frankies of the world.
I remember what that fucking guy said to me.
Get your coffee, get on your fucking airplane, and like keep it moving.
That fucking guy said to me, he called rows 15 through 20. I thought we were boarding the plane like normal human beings from front to back. And I was row 14. And I walked up there and I said, hey, and I didn't even look at him. I just scanned my ticket. He puts his hand on my chest and says, does 14 come between 15 and 20? I was like, are you fucking kidding me? No, it doesn't. He goes, very good. Step aside. I was like, what is happening to me right now? And then I go back up there and he goes, look who learned how to count. You motherfucker. Why do you hate me so much? Why do you hate me so much? That's how I felt, dude.
It was crazy. I was like, why are you targeting me? I just
Who are you mad at? Me or yourself?
And that reminded me, too, of the Five Guys. Remember the Five Guys guy that roasted you, Frankie?
Oh, yeah. I was like, yeah, could I get a cheeseburger, just pickles, cheese, and ketchup? He goes, oh, do you want the bun and the meat also? I was just like, as he did it, I put my hands up like, all right. Yeah, I do want the bun and the meat. Oh, okay, because you were just kind of saying that you just wanted the ketchup, cheese, and pickles.
Woo!
Holy fuck, dude.
Do you?
Yeah, we're just getting roasted.
So, do you guys think somebody like Harris English reporting essentially on what happens during a round with Bryson DeChambeau will stop some people from doing it? Because I think that might be the only way where, like, it feels like Harris English is an adult and he's publicly saying, like, it's crazy out there. Like, I get that you guys want to get in on this joke and it's fun and it's clearly driving Bryson insane. But Harris is like, it's a lot. It's just really a lot out there. I wonder if that'll have any effect. Probably won't, but I think it might make people be like, all right, maybe we've done this enough.
I know what can have effect real quick, Trent, is Whoop. Frankie brought it up at the beginning of the show about how he's got like 98% Whoop recovery. Mine was like 28% today, but that's guys called a couple friends last night in Boston, visiting old friends. My buddy Tim, by the way, I have to talk about this. He made steaks last night. He grilled steaks. He made Parmesan crusted steaks It was the most amazing thing I've ever seen a normal citizen make. Like,
That sounds so good.
dude, it was better than 90% of steaks I've ever had at steakhouses. And he just threw it on the grill, and him and his wife, like, yeah, we make like Parmesan crusted steaks. And every bite of this steak was life changing. Like the juices and the cheese and the Parmesan were just like flowing through my mouth and just pleasing my taste buds. It was a shocking experience.
It's amazing we don't do that. We don't crust them with Parmesan.
Everything should be crusted with Parmesan. Everything.
But what that led to, a little bit of red wine and then a 28% recovery today. But the 2 days prior, I got like 10 hours of sleep on Thursday night because I had gotten like 2 hours sleep the night before. And I'd actually said I needed 10 hours and 58 minutes. So my sleep, even though I got 10 hours, was like 91%, not 100%. But I was in the green those 2 days. And boy, did I feel like $1 million because Whoop, it's the world's most powerful fitness wearable, provides 24/7 personalized sleep training, recovery insights. Whoop can help right now. They're offering 15% off if you go with the code FOREPLAY at checkout at whoop.com. So you go to WHOOP.com, enter FOREPLAY, which is one word, at checkout. You're going to get 15% off. We've been talking about Whoop for years now. You got Rory, you got Justin Thomas, you got all these top-level athletes that are doing it, that are clearly utilizing it to help their lives, help their performance, get data on their bodies. You can as well. You go to whoop.com, use the code FOREPLAY at checkout, you get 15% off. But
Dude,
yeah,
it's amazing that like when you look at how like when you wake up and you see that low recovery and you know you have a busy day, it really makes you think about like not doing things before busy days. Like Thursday night, we had a night in Detroit. Obviously, the Chicklets guys are there, and like we're at the Barstool Sports Book at Greektown, and just having a night at the casino, the craps table. Also, Merles and Whitney, the two best people to play craps with of all time. I mean, Merles is sitting there bending the dice into the felt to soften up the corners, and he's like the dealers don't like this, and he's like looking at them and they're laughing at him. He's like, you hate this, don't you? Because he thinks he has an edge on them because he's bending them into the corners of the felt.
Amazing.
But woke up with an 11% recovery and had to do a 15.8 strain. So it was just there's the red is this big, the blue's all the way around. Next day woke up with a 12% recovery, 15.2 strain. So just 2 days in a row, absolutely barely alive. And then today, 98% because I got 10 hours of sleep. So it is really cool. Give it a try, Whoop. Everyone I talk to, anyone that sees me wearing one, they're like, is it worth it? Is it cool? I'm like, honestly, even if you're not the most fit person, if you're not the most active person, it's worth it just to see that stuff.
Yep.
To really see how it's just seeing how like life affects your body. Like just life events affect your body.
Yeah, it motivates you too to be better and live healthier. You understand like sleeping consistently, sleeping from basically the same time frames each night, how healthy that is for your body, your recovery, everything. So whoop.com, code FOREPLAY at checkout. You're going to get 15% off. Harris English making these comments. I think this will deter some people more than it'll invite others. I do. I think some people are adults, humans, will look at that and be like, that is kind of shitty that that other people are noticing it's bad. I don't know that for a fact, but my guess would be hopefully that becoming a storyline. And again, I don't know why I'm saying hopeful. I just don't know that singling somebody out and heckling them in golf is necessarily the greatest thing.
It's hard because Bryson is not a sympathetic figure. He does all of the wrong things where you're just like, whatever. Just like if people are going to heckle him, he's brought that on himself to a degree. I thought Harris's comments were interesting. It's something that we haven't seen yet from another PGA Tour pro because I think for the most part, I think people on tour, and this is just completely speculative, that they like watching Bryson get put through the ringer because he's Bryson. And it's incredibly annoying sometimes to watch Bryson just operate in general. So I thought they were interesting.
Did you see when – this is classic Bryson because he did that thing where he said good one, which I thought was funny. And then right after there's another clip where some kid set him up for failure because he asked him like, hey, Bryson, like how do I prepare for the ACTs? And he stops in his tracks and like blinks a million times and does his like weird like antisocial thing where he's like rubbing his eyes as he talks, and he just goes into this fucking ridiculous explanation about how you have to actually learn like memorization tools as opposed to like learning the actual like problems, and you have to find a way to get to the problem as opposed to the answer to the problem. And the kid's just like sitting there videotaping him as he goes on this spiel about like how to perfect the ACTs. And I get it, like the kid asked him the question and Bryson's giving him a well thought out answer. Some people could think that's, oh, it's sweet, that's so nice, he's such a personable person. I hate watched it. I couldn't, like, I wish he would be like, the ACTs, like, go pick up a dumbbell or something. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
why
it was one of the worst things
there?
I've ever watched.
It was one of the worst things I've ever watched.
He led too with like what he got. He goes, yeah, I didn't do that well. I got like a 30. And the kid was like, oh, I would do anything for a 30.
He aced it? Okay.
It was so brutal. I couldn't watch it.
Can we put that clip in, by the way? Can we just like put that in right now, just for everyone to hate listen?
Hey, and I have another question. Do you have any tips for me on the ACT?
ACTs. I didn't even do that well. I think I got like a 30.
Dude,
Yeah, 30.
A 30.
Wow. But I would say just study hard. One of the things you gotta be good at is a lot of memorization techniques. It's not really about knowing all the problems. It's being really good at knowing which ones to cancel out.
All right.
It's like not like you knowing that those aren't the answers.
Yes.
Coming to a conclusion pretty quickly.
All right.
People might shut off the podcast. Our last ad read might get nothing through it because people are like, fuck this podcast. I'm not listening to this guy. Yeah, that was tough. That made me want to punch him.
I actually haven't seen that. Now I am not probably going to search it out. Or I might hate watch it, I guess.
Dude, he lets out this sigh as if like this kid has to now know exactly how to ace the ACTs. Like he's like, well, it's, and then he just goes on.
Man.
It's bad, really bad.
Yeah, it was tough.
He's
People
just a tough guy to root
tough.
for. Impossible.
I agree. I completely
Really
agree.
hard.
Somebody who's easy to root for, Nelly Korda. So she continues her absolute rampage on the game of golf. She won the Olympic gold. Things got interesting. There was like a rain delay with 2 holes left, but she got it done, won the Olympic gold. She now she's number 1 in the world. She's only 23 years old. She won the Women's PGA, which is a major championship at Atlanta Athletic Club. She won the Meyer Classic, the Gainbridge, and the Olympic gold all this year. So her tear over the last, 3 or 4 months has literally been like the best golf on earth. She was out driving everybody. I was watching the final round, and she's always hitting last, so she just hits it a mile. Her club distances, they kept being like, yeah, she's 171 out. She got like a 7-iron. I'm like, that's how far I hit my 7-iron. So it's like she just is potentially the best golfer in the world. I don't care, like male, female, whoever. Like John Rahm, he's been playing lights out, but I don't know if you had to go far down the list to find till you got to make an argument for that she's just the best player on planet Earth at the game of golf right now. She's fucking unreal.
It's phenomenal stretch of golf. Like you said, it's just, you could just tell that she's just better than everyone else right now. And when you're watching the highlights from when she's playing, she's just on it, and she's on an absolute fucking heat streak. People were talking about Nelly in the Barstool Sportsbook, like trying to get bets in, knowing that she would dominate. Her name was floating around the Barstool Sportsbook at Greektown because they had it on the whole entire day. That's how you know that like someone's taking over, especially in women's golf. Doesn't get that much like publicity and doesn't get that much coverage, but like she was everywhere, dude, on all these screens in a major sports book with all these sports going on, the Olympics, baseball, everything. Like Nelly Korda was just like on the main screen hitting bombs and hitting it tight, and all of her highlights are long putts. It was awesome to see.
Clean
it was
sweep
because she
for the
started out
Americans.
cold too, so it was like, and then she obviously closed strong and won. But on the betting side, and I've got a very hoarse voice after a long weekend. But yeah, she started out a little cold. I was trying to do the same thing, Frankie, looking to see where I could put money on because she's been lights out. Not just betting, obviously, on just a complete favorite. And I think there's no reason why she doesn't just run away with the game of golf.
Dude, she had a double on the front 9 and then followed it up with 3 straight birdies. So
yeah, it's fun.
It's like that's just how you win. When she was finally had a mistake here and there. She doubled 18, I think, like in her second round to shoot 62. So it's like she, and clearly with a few mistakes, was still able to get the whole thing done. So she's a badass. We've talked a lot about their family, and they both tennis stars. Her dad, I believe, won the Australian Open, which is a major championship, got up to number 2 in the world. Her mom was a professional tennis player. I think she got to like top 30 in the world. And then obviously their younger brother, what is it, Sebastian? Is that his name, Lurch?
Yeah, Seb, yeah, yep.
He's like 18 or 19, and he's probably the most, the best up-and-coming American tennis player. Is that correct?
Yeah, I would say it's up to him and probably Taylor Fritz, but the two of them, Seb Korda, they think maybe has more potential, so tough to tell. But yeah, it's studs across the board.
Her sister, Jessica, who's like 28's got, several wins on the LPGA Tour. So they're just an athletic, freak family in all the best ways possible. So congrats to her. United States of America, clean sweep in golf for the gold medals with obviously Xander Schauffele and Nelly Korda getting the gold medal. So congrats to them. I had a rules question I was thinking about.
Wait, and she did it in the heat, by the way, which is the heat was
hot as
outrageous.
balls.
It was like 112 degrees. During round 1, I saw it wasn't funny because, I hope he's okay, but Lexi Thompson's caddy just couldn't take it anymore. Had to be helped off the golf course because of extreme heat. Reminded me of just Trent. He just bowed out and just couldn't handle the sun anymore. And, he's a native, Floridian, so, you have to imagine how fucking hot it probably was. But for a guy to finally say, I can't do it anymore, you have to be so, rattled and hot. To be helped off the golf course, you're doing everything you can to not get to that point, and he still got to that point. So just imagine how fucking hot it must have been.
Extreme heat is no joke. It's no joke. It gets too hot, you get disoriented, feel like you're going to throw up, feel like you're going to pass out. Maybe your heart rate gets to 192 in Atlantic City, and sometimes you can't caddy in the Olympics or you can't do a podcast on a Monday night. It's like heat strikes you in different ways, and when it hits, it's a motherfucker.
Trent got so hot that he couldn't do the podcast.
It's the only show you ever missed.
Not the only show I've ever missed. It's one of very few, but I just couldn't do it. I had the worst. The worst part is the headache.
You looked bad that day. Yeah, you looked bad. Leaving that place, you didn't look well.
You appeared on the Zoom screen, and you're just like, boys, I can't do it. I'm so beat up and dominated by the heat today that I cannot do this podcast right now.
I drove you home to the city. We had AC just blasting on his face, and he was just drinking water, hoping not to puke.
Well, that's the other thing, too, is I've now gotten to a point where I get car sick. I don't know if it's because I'm rarely in a car these days. I've lived in New York for 5 years now, where you walk everywhere, you take the subway, whatever. When I get into an Uber and I drive 15 minutes if I go to the office, I feel like I'm going to fucking throw up all over the place. So that, and then all the heat, and then me and Lurch were on the driving range in Atlantic City trying to figure out how to hit my irons. This was long before John Tillery came along, and I was just working really hard at it, and it was just a bad combination, and I thought I was going to die. That's just what it is.
I'm glad you survived. And you're right.
Thanks.
Nelly got it done in the heat, too. She's just a badass. She's as badass as it fucking gets right now. Congrats to her. She'll be very fun to follow. We got an American. We're American guys, so we like to root for that. Okay, I have a rules question. So, teeing up in front of the tee box, tee marker, right? If you're 6 inches in front of the tee marker, people joke a lot like, oh, you're going to tee it up from, in front. You're going to incur a 2-stroke penalty. So I started thinking, is there a DQ factor or something if you tee off so far in front of the tee markers? Because I was thinking, if it's just a 2-stroke penalty, why wouldn't you just put it right next to the hole? Just tee it up and then just put it into the hole and then just take a 2-stroke penalty and be like, yeah, I got a 3 there. Just do that on every hole.
Oh, you're saying walk all the way to the green, put the tee in the green, and then just bunt it into the hole?
Yeah, and they'd be like, oh, you teed up in front of the tee mark. You'd be like, you know what? You're right. That's a 2-stroke penalty. So instead of a 1, I got a 3 there.
And then we put you in a straitjacket and never allow you onto the streets or to interact with humans ever again.
What do you mean?
That's crazy.
No, I would do that if the rules allow it, but the rules have to say the teeing surface or something. You know what I mean? There has to be something in the rule that says on the tee grounds, on the teeing surface. Because if not, I will be doing that next round I play.
3 across the board.
I'm sure the rules state that. I just wasn't sure what it was. Because I started thinking somebody did it the other day, and I think it was at the Barstool Classic in D.C., and he's like, oh, I almost teed up in front of the tee box. That would have been a 2-stroke penalty. And I was like, but if you're going to do that, why wouldn't you just do it to the mat? Just do it all the way up on the green, tee it up an inch away from the hole, and you just putt it into the hole, and then be like, yeah, I got a 1 there, but you guys are going to penalize me, I guess, so I'll take a 3.
Barstool Classic is one thing, but if you are a person that actually gives someone a stroke penalty for teeing it up in front of the fucking markers that, like, some hungover assistant superintendent went out there and just threw these markers down in the middle of a tee box, like, and you're gonna tell me that if I, like, am talking to someone, I've done that before where I'm having a conversation as I'm walking up to the tee, I look down, throw it in, I'm like an inch in front, and I'm like, I look up and I say, I don't give a fuck, you think I'm gonna re-tee this thing? I mean, come on. If you call me out on that, I hope that you get hit by a car on the way home.
And that inch isn't going to make a difference. Like that ball is going wherever it's going, no matter what.
It's going
that
hundreds of yards all over the place.
Right.
The only thing that I think about is when I tee it up, is it on a par 3? Because like if I teed it up on the right, because you're aiming at the flag, but you don't really know. It's like if I put it on the left side, like maybe would that have been a hole in one? Like that's the only time I ever think about teeing it up. Like, does that make a difference? But besides that, no difference at all.
Totally. I would say this reminds me of Forest Dunes. How cool was it? They just had a pole in the ground, was the tee marker. And you could just, they just wanted you to tee off within like a couple club lengths on either side of it. I thought that was sweet.
Right. I thought that was awesome. And just a really relaxed way to play the game of golf. Just like, this is the general
Sets the tone early of like, you're chilling.
100%. And then I don't know if you saw Jake Bass's text there. Big difference to the rule change, which we didn't know.
This is huge. This is a game. This makes a lot of sense now. I figured there had to be a rule. That's why I brought it up. If you play from the incorrect teeing area from the blue tees instead of the white ones on a hole, as an example, or outside the allowable teeing area on the correct tee box, you will receive a 2-stroke penalty and be required to replay the shot. But I guess my question would be if, like, I feel like it might have been like Padraig Harrington. I can't remember who, but I feel like in one tournament, it was controversial if the person was actually in front of the tee marker or not. It was like super close. But if they were deemed to have been in front, like after the fact, you can't go replay, you finish your round. Would that person just be DQ'd then? I bet they would just be DQ'd probably.
Probably.
Yeah. That's interesting. So yeah, I just had a little bit of a rules question, gentlemen.
Yeah, the replay, your shot theory really hurts any ability to tee it up on green.
Yeah, well, it kills it. That's just now the theory. You're just going to rack up penalty strokes, and you're still on the tee box. So
it's a good thought, though. It's good to take a rule to the extreme to figure out a way to stop rigs from just wandering down to the hole while everyone else is standing on the tee box, and people be like, "What's this psychopath doing?"
It'd be anarchy.
Putting it,
this Riggs is playing the game of golf in a wild fashion right now. He's out of control. Lost control of Riggs' golf.
How in trouble you think I am at this orthopedic that I'm going to be 15 minutes late? Do you think you're going to give me some snarls, some bad looks?
No, you
feel like doctor's appointments.
That doctor's going to be late. You're going to be that guy won't get you in there till noon at best.
That's what I hate. They make you feel like assholes and they're like, well, you got to be here at 11. You actually should be here 15 minutes early to do your paperwork, and then they make you sit in the waiting room for an hour. I guess if they don't hold you to that, it is anarchy. People are just showing up whenever they want.
So you are on the doc, just like you said, where you can't go at like 11:45 on a Saturday night. Like you are on the doctor's page. Like you're in his book right now, and he can write that book however he wants. So
I went to this orthopedic and I went to this doctor, and he was such a dick to me and so mean, telling me that there was nothing wrong with my shoulder at one point, that I'm now going to another person in the same office, and hopefully they don't recognize me, or I don't cross paths with this doctor in the hallway, because I was just like, you're wrong.
You're getting a second opinion just from a doctor in the same office.
His coworker.
Right.
Where they probably like share lunch, and they're like, oh, I had this Frankie Borelli kid, because like the other guy knew everything about me, like Barstool, so they know who I am inside that office. So if this guy just says the same things, they'll be like, what? He came to who? He came to you again? I just told him there was nothing wrong.
I hope that they see you and recognize. They're like, you're Frankie, right? The guy with the arm, and then you're just I hope that happens. That'd be very awkward for you.
See.
Notion is all-in-one team collaboration software that combines note-taking, document sharing, wikis, project management, shout out to WikiLeaks, project management, and much, much, much more into one simple, easy-to-use tool. It's the one place where every team from engineering to sales can work together seamlessly. With 500 integrated apps, including Google and Slack, you collaborate in real time, Tailor workflows to your team's specific needs and share with ease. This sounds like something like a Lurch type figure would absolutely love. But Notion has a worldwide community of millions of users creating templates, tutorials, and new inspiration. So the product, it's getting better nonstop. It's getting better all the time. Find out how Notion may be the missing piece your team needs to fully unlock the promise of and remove the pain from remote work. Obviously, everybody's working remotely right now. We're doing this podcast remotely. In this very moment, we are doing our podcast remotely. It's nice to have something like Notion that obviously, combines everything. You, my friends, can go to Notion.so and use promo code FOREPLAY. This is the SO thing. FOREPLAY to get $250 off its annual team plan. So Notion, they have the annual team plan. You go to Notion.so, and use promo code FOREPLAY. You get $250 off the annual team plan. That's $250 off. Go to Notion.so, use the promo code FOREPLAY. That's one word, and you get $250 off. I have to give a shout out to JJ Watt. JJ Watt paid for my tee times and a couple of our boys from Erin Hills, Hanky Panky and Ian. We played out at Lac La Belle, which is kind of a brand new old course, 1896, but they new ownership came in, completely redid the whole thing. It's like 15-minute drive from Erin Hills. And my last day before I flew out for the Barstool Classic to D.C., went over to Lac La Belle. J.J. Watt DMs me about golf. The guy loves golf. He's obviously an Arizona guy now, so we're going to play golf at some time. But we have this funny internet relationship where he'll just send me pictures from him playing golf. Be like, yeah, I was at this course today. It was awesome. And he was like, hey, I heard you're going to Erin Hills. He's a Wisconsin guy, clearly. He's like, I heard you going to Erin Hills. This is like a month ago. He's like, you got to check out one of my favorite places, Lac La Belle. It's awesome. Let me know if you're going to go in there. So I messaged you back and forth. And I said, yeah, I'm going to swing in there one day next week. Roll into the pro shop. They said our very good friend, Mr. Watt, took care of your tee times, and he wanted to give you this gift. And he gave each of us some tailor-made golf balls that had the Lac La Belle logo on them. So my golf friend, who I've never met in person, Mr. J.J. Watt, who first messaged me about the LTP. He was like, hey, awesome what you're doing. Just wanted to say it's really cool. I said, can you send a video back for our video that we played for the girls? He did. That struck up this cool internet. We're like pen pals. We're like golf pen pals online. But I had to give a big thanks to J.J. Watt because he paid for my tee time.
Surreal. That's a surreal story. What a good guy he is. I mean, I everything you see about J.J. Watt in the NFL is that he's like the nicest, most charitable, easygoing guy in the world. Obviously, he's a lunatic on the football field, and just an absolute monster. But my God, what a good story! I mean, J.J. Watt, get him on the pod. The guy's a fucking superstar.
We're absolutely going to get him on the pod, and I like too because he. So I'm not trying to reveal too much. Obviously, in training camp right now. So once I got somebody just honked their horn. I hope that everybody's okay over there. So
New York City, baby. Woo!
That's true. Fair. He. I shot him a DM when they had told me that he paid for the tee times. I just sent him a picture. It was like, we had an unreal time. Thank you so much, man. And then he actually emailed me a day or two later and was like, hey, I'm off social media right now, but my friends at Lac La Belle said you had a great time. I'm really glad you enjoyed it. And we kind of went back and forth. So he's like off social. And J.J. Watt was made fun of at Barstool for a very long time, largely for being overly liked. He's raising all this money for relief, and he seems like the best guy ever. I'm telling you, these people at Lac La Belle, which is a phenomenal spot, they love the guy. They're like, J.J. Watt is just the best. He's the nicest guy. He loves golf. He always takes care of us. So it'd be crazy for me not to just, shout out my man J.J. Watt, who is my golf pen pal now.
Amazing.
What was that place? Sweet course?
Dude, it was awesome. It was very different. You're in Erin Hills, is wide open. Obviously, We've all been there. Fescue. This was kind of a little bit more tree lined, a little bit more kind of a classic golf course, but in Wisconsin. And the greens were crazy in a cool way. I like crazy, kind of quirky golf. I'm talking some of the green, the fourth green, which is probably 200-yard par 3, had mounds on the green, hills on the green, that were taller than a man. They were 6 foot high. Mounds on the back of the green that you could putt it off of. And so the greens were absolutely bananas in a very fun way. So it was really, really cool. They had I think it's 18 holes, maybe 15 holes putting course, similar to the Thistle do or to the Drumlin at Erin Hills that they had right out on the main patio and top of the hill overlooking the whole course. So they had they brought out these old I don't know if you'd call them like hickory, but like old school putters from like the 1800s that we were putting with on the par 3 course that like the pros brought out. And, you know, we had like drinks and we just hung out and putted on the course till like midnight and had ourselves a fantastic time. So if you're in that area, if you're in Wisconsin, go to Lac La Belle because they're doing it right. The ownership group, you know, they're like pour their hearts and souls into this place. They're golf nuts. Like the day that we were there, the guy was like apologizing because him and another, I think like part of the family or group, they like drove up to like Sand Valley to play golf because they just love golf. So anytime you got like an ownership group and whatnot that's that obsessed with golf that they're driving to Sand Valley to play golf, you know the place is in good hands. So it was really, really cool. We had a great time.
That's awesome. I know Frankie's got to run, so I think we're closing up a little bit here. But quick shout out to the Erin Hills crew. Had my dad's 71st birthday party there. Tremendous, 16 guys, Ryder Cup style, all of his friends. The place is just epic. If you're thinking about a trip, you know, it's a little sentimental, but like you only have so much time. Plan a father-son golf trip. It was just epic with all his buddies talking about my pops at different times of his life, things I didn't even know. It was just spectacular. And that course was just amazing. We had beautiful bluebird day, rainy day, where basically they're so nice there because you like come in, caddies, everybody waits around. You can go back out once the rain clears. Like it was just an epic trip. So shout out to that place. Had just an unreal time, and you know, hope to plan the next one soon.
I think it speaks a lot to Erin Hills that like you can go anywhere for your dad's 70th, 71st birthday, and you chose like Erin Hills. Like that place is just the best.
It was awesome. It was awesome, and people were like, oh, Erin Hills, like there's no like water there, which like Frankie and I like from just a view and optic standpoint, like that makes a golf course go from like X to like 2X. But that place, you're like driving up in the middle of nowhere, and then you just see the castle on top of the hill and like the very few but very cool looking structures. And then playing that golf course, every hole is truly impressive and just gorgeous and in its own way. Now, I would say it's definitely a walk. I was like, here we go, Pops, next hill, baby, keep it moving. But actually he did fine. And like on the last day, it was like a little sore, but it was really not bad. Like it was tremendous. So big shout out to Steve, the head of marketing there, and the whole Erin Hill staff, because every individual at that place is like truly accommodating, kind, friendly, and just wants you to have the best experience possible.
You kept calling it the 70th on your social media. It started to get under my nerves to the point where I wouldn't watch the videos
I was hoping
anymore.
so.
So, I mean, you did exactly what we said you would do. You did the Ryder Cup thing where you missed the 2021. You're going to call it 2020, 2021. So it's unfortunate that happened to you, but you are the worst person on social media. I mean,
it's a really nice balance on this show where Lurch is kind of pouring his heart out a little bit, being like, you know, my dad and I took this great trip to Erin Hills.
That's
really
beautiful.
We really had a great time. It is beautiful. It's very nice. And then Frankie's like, well, he kept calling it a 70, so it was kind of a piece of shit.
No, he did exactly what we said he would do, because like we were saying, you're not going to call it a 70th, right? You can't get that year back. And you said, no, it'll be 71st. First Instagram story, Pop's 70th birthday. Yep. God.
Actually, I got to laugh putting that one out. But we called it like 70, 71st. It was like interchangeable during the trip.
You could have done like 70.5.
Right.
Hey.
That would have been even more creative, kind of.
Well, I'm glad you guys got that. I mean, Erin Hills is a great place. That is the one thing I would always worry about with like bringing like my dad or like his crew there, is the walk would be too much for him to handle.
Yeah, it's a hell of a walk.
But the beauty and the everything aside from the golf is as good as it can get. For like
once you're
an older
property,
guy, I mean,
it's just like everybody's just like, I can't believe how fun it is just to wake up, grab breakfast. All you're doing is like, okay, we take off at like 10:30, probably up because East Coast hours at like 7, so you're having an early breakfast. Like when I'm gonna go down to the range, like start hitting balls, putt around, like it's just all golf there. It's incredible, and everybody on the trip just gave it an incredibly raving review.
The boys just love Wisconsin. We're just high on Wisconsin. We're a pro Wisconsin podcast.
100%.
All right, we're done here, Frank.
Yesterday I saw 2 big fat bikers having sex in the woods. How am I supposed to chip with that going on?
Attaboy, Jake Bass.
Well done, Jake Bass.
We did it.
Fantastic.
Close.
I think we're
Really
8 minutes
well done.
too long on that one, though, right?
Yeah, you guys were riffing. I didn't want to ruin.
That's
whole
not the
podcast.
fucking way we do it, though. It's not the ninth green
It's
at 98.
No, it's
It's
not.
supposed to
That's
interrupt us.
That's true. You should have just lied. We wouldn't have known what time it actually was.
Frankie knew. Frankie knew immediately.
Because I looked before, and that was going to be my last thing. Like, we missed it again. But I appreciate the effort. It's just not good enough.
All right.
I appreciate the effort. No, you did great.
You did it.
We could do a little bit better. We could do a little bit better. Just do it.
Just
hit us with it. Like,
just 90 minutes.
Hit us with it. We just want to be shocked by it.
Simple as that.
Yeah, if you do it conversationally at a good time, then it's all. Like, it doesn't even really.
And I understand the fear of doing it when we're talking about something. But I remember when E-Bug did it for the first time like 2 weeks ago. We were in studio, me and Frankie, and Brendan started talking. We were about to jump down his throat because we were like, "What's happening? Why are you interrupting?" But then it turns out that it's the thing that we want.
Yeah, we thought his brain malfunctioned. We were like, "What are you doing, dude?" And then it was the thing. It's one of our segments.
And again, I love the effort. I love you're on top of it. You're just you gotta just cut right through. Gotta cut through the shit.
All right. Frankie, go get your arm fixed. I got to go Barstool Classic. We're at Pine Hills. We're in Boston. It's going to be a good time. Feidelberg, Casey are here. We'll be back on Thursday. Hit it hard.
Hit it hard.
Hit it hard.
Hit it hard.